Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we do have a special Zombie Sailors Toys review video for you guys. And we are starting off the year pretty well. We actually have a snowy new year, which is fantastic. We didn't have that white Christmas, which I covet. You know, I always like to see a nice blanketed white ground, you know, with covered in snow and ice for Christmas. We didn't have that here in Louisville, Kentucky, but as of a few days ago, it started snowing, and you know what? Pretty thick snow. And this is probably the first time I've seen this snow like this in years. You've grown up in Chicago. You walk outside, you get that snow that comes up to your knees. I love that, and I miss that. Ever since I graduated high school and, you know, joined the Army and I got stationed in Fort Hood, Texas, you never got snow in Texas. But it was awesome because when it did snow in Texas, guys, and which was very rare. And when I say it snowed in Texas, I'm talking about like you touch the ground and you feel cold. That's basically the extent of the snow in Texas, okay? Like you see the ground and it looks like somebody spray painted white on the cement. That's about it. But you know what? When you got those days, they closed down the base. They closed down the entire city of Killeen because people were too scared to drive in the snow. So that was kind of funny. But hey, free work day, right? So it's nice to actually have so-called snow days or whatnot. But I'm also trapped because my driveway, it's not a level driveway, it's a downward slant, and then it kind of curves into the backyard. So that's why my basement is an above ground basement that kind of leads out the back door into the backyard. So that kind of sucks. I'm kind of trapped. But I'm retired, so who cares, right? I don't have anywhere to go. I have no life, so that's perfectly fine. Today's review video, as I said, Zombie Sailors Toys came out with 2 new figures. These came out, I don't know, over the summer, I think. They pre-ordered these characters. So I know that these 2 characters came out. I think Sandman was one of the figures. I think there was a Patriot, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we've been waiting a good 4, 5, 6 months for a lot of these figures, and that's why I hate doing pre-orders. These companies, they gotta do better with getting these pre-orders out to their customers, or stop with the pre-orders. If you gotta over-embellish and over-order, so be it, because there will always be new customers who want to pick up these figures in the future. So if you order 5,000 and you only sell 1,500, oh well. Guess what? You'll have a stockage of 3,500. People are still going to want these in the future, so you'll have them available for your future customers. But this whole, you know, 2,500 order it, so we're only going to make 2,500, that's stupid. Because people are always going to want extras in the future, so. But anyways, 2 figures did come in. First one we are going to look at is Big Bully Busick. And I had to do some research on this guy because I gotta be honest, I have absolutely no idea who this was. I did not recognize the name, and I was hoping that maybe he went by a different moniker in World Wrestling Federation. But no, he did play an actual bully type character in WWF. And he kind of feuded a little bit with the Brooklyn Brawler. Kind of, you know, who was the bigger bully of the WWF, you know, so to speak. He didn't last long in WWF at all. And it's probably the reason why I don't have the greatest recollection of Busick. You know, he came in 1991, which means I would have only been 6 years old. So he wasn't somebody that I actually would have grown up a whole lot, you know, watching or whatnot. But overall, aesthetics of the figure is pretty incredible. On card, the figure looks really solid. And back of the card, it doesn't really give you a whole lot of new characters. So, like, you're looking for, like, new figures. Like, Bad News Allen, he's not on here. You don't see any of the new guys from Series 4. I mean, you get Macho Man, and you get Ric Flair. So you do get a couple of Series 4 guys up there. I'm still waiting on this Ahmed Johnson to come in from Tony Norris. You got that really awesome one from Grapplers and Gimmicks, but the problem was from G&G, it was their first release, right? So the initial figure, when you took it off card, it crumbled in your hand. But the figures have gotten a million times better since that original figure. So I'm kind of curious what Zombie Sailors can do with their Ahmed Johnson figure. Now, there are a couple of things I like about the figure. For starters, he does have a removable accessory, which is pretty awesome. And unlike Slick, at least he has a real head. This is what I'm talking about with these figures, and I use Slick as a perfect example. I don't want that stupid Lego head on Slick. This is what I'm talking about. I want a real head mold. Now, with Slick, because you've got that Lego head and you got that kind of squared off head, the way that the hats were kind of designed, you got that perfect snap on the head, right? So when you turn the head, turn the body over, and you sit there, and you could sit there and fight with that thing all day long. Throw that thing into a twister, that hat is not going to come off, which is awesome. This does sit on the head pretty snug, but I feel like eventually, with enough minuscule force, the most minute, it is going to come loose. So it doesn't give you that nice crisp snap the way that the Slick figures do. So I love the fact that he doesn't have that Lego head. Huge upgrade. Downside, no snap, right? So you got to take the positives with the negatives. But do I covet the snap more, or do I covet a real head? I will take the head all day. So, and this has another type of real life type of name to it. Again, it's like the Slick, the secondary hat he had. I used to call that like a newspaper hat. Kind of like the hat that like even like someone in the 1920s, like Babe Ruth and something, baseball players would wear, stuff like that. So, but I always call it like a newsroom hat. And I don't know, this is kind of more like a mafia type hat, which kind of goes hand in hand with his persona, right? He's a bully, he's a bad guy. So, and I love the cigar, and I'm wondering, and that's not even removable. Yeah, it's not removable. I'm not even going to try and pull it out. So, I like it to an extent. Now, you know me. I like accessories that are built on. Like, when you go back with Hasbro's and you look at, like, Papa Shango and Bart Gunn, Undertaker, etc., right? You with the built-on hat. Or Mr. Fuji for LJN. I love the built-on hats because, you know what? They don't need to be removed. Okay, you have the built-on hats, they're perfectly fine. Something like the cigar, as adults, we're not wrestling these figures. They're for display purposes only. They're not made for kids. They're made for adults. They're made for display. They're artwork. They are literally made for art. That's what they are. It's display. It's art. So, but at some point, somebody is going to give these to their kids. Adults out there that are, you are going to have adults out there who are actually wrestling these figures. That cigar is going to break, and somebody is going to be frustrated like crazy. So that is a downside, but I mean, overall, it is a super quality figure. And I really enjoy the boots on this figure. I mean, that is excellent. Overall, display-wise, looks incredible. So, Big Bully Busick, and like I said, I did not grow up watching this guy, so I don't have any memories of this guy. One of the things that keep killing me with Zombie Sailors, I know it's their own figures, so they have to go off of their own design, but the ET arms that are always extra long, I hate that. I really wish they'd stop that. But it's their own design rights, so it's something I want for them to improve upon. Now, here is another character that I never grew up watching, and he was actually somebody that I would have actually watched during my, I don't want to say during my heyday, because I look at the early 90s, like probably around 1990 to 93, as really being prime wrestling for me. Around 94 to 97, I was still actively watching wrestling. About 96, 97 is around the time I was slowly moving away from wrestling. By late 97, especially 98, I was probably completely gone from wrestling. 99, I don't remember anything that was happening in wrestling in 99, so I think I was completely done with wrestling by 98. So, but this character was, he was definitely active in 95, and I don't know him by this name, but I know him by another name. But the next character we're going to be talking about is Chris Candido. There was a tag team, and I might have the name wrong. I don't remember the name of the tag team, but I believe they were called the Belly Donnas. There was a particular wrestler that used to crack me the heck up. Barry Horowitz. Now, Barry Horowitz is very synonymous with this particular character. Now, very famously, you remember Sean Waltman and Scott Hall. Now, as the Kid or Lightning Kid, etc., a bunch of other monikers. He was just a enhancement worker, right? Someone that gets thrown around the ring and your superstars beat up on, pin, 1, 2, 3, bam, done with. Until one day he decides that, you know what? I'm not going to be an enhancement talent. I want to be a superstar too. And I am going to pin Razor Ramon and take on the moniker 1, 2, 3 Kid. And suddenly, he is no longer Lightning Kid, but he is going to be the 1, 2, 3 Kid who is going to be participating in Royal Rumbles and vying for a spot at WrestleMania and trying to win heavyweight championships and stuff like that, right? Well, Barry Horowitz is another such enhancement worker, notorious for 0 victories throughout his illustrious career. Until one day, he takes on Skip of the Belladonnas. Belladonnas. Did I call him Belladonnas? I think it's Belladonnas. And Skip, he's like this gym rat, physique. And he's over there and he's inside the ring making fun of Barry Horowitz, doing his little exercises and whatnot because it's a squash match. Who's going to think that Barry Horowitz, a little enhancement worker, is going to beat one of WWF's superstars? And while he's showboating, doing his little push-ups or whatever, Barry Horowitz sneaks right in, rolls him up, and pins him. And who was it? Was it I think it was Sonny, if I'm not mistaken. I think Sonny was the valet of and I could be wrong, but I think Sonny was the valet of Skip. So Barry Horowitz, I think he beat him like 3 times. Or at least twice. So Chris Candido or Skip and Barry Horowitz will always be intertwined in one storytelling. So the Chris Candido figure, now I like the fact that kind of having that history mixed in with this figure is pretty awesome. It's not a bad figure at all. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like a Matt Cardona from Series 1. So it's got good detail in the trunks and boots. I like the way that the color scheme kind of bleeds in between the two, where the kind of like the sock area matches up with the trunk. So that is really solid. The play pose of the figure is pretty solid. Good separation of the arms. So as a wrestling figure, it's outstanding. I mean, he's kind of doing this little, I don't know what the hell that's all about, but kind of reminds me of that thing that you used to do in school where you kind of like hide, get your, kind of like do that little whole thing down low and somebody looks, that you punch them in the shoulder or something real stupid. I don't know if that's what the heck that's supposed to be, but like I said, I don't know anything about Chris Candido or Skip or Belladonna's or anything like that. But if that's what that is, either way, even with the open fingers, it still makes a playable punching figure, right? So overall face, solid. The chest, abs, overall look of the figure, incredible work. The head does feel a little bit loose. I noticed that when I move the arms up. The head it is a little bit wobbly on this figure. For Busick, it feels, I don't want to say wobbly, but it does spin. As you see, it does spin at 360 degrees, so even the waist is 360. And I'm not accustomed to these figures, spinning like that. I know in the early days of Zombie Sailors, these figures, they used to go like maybe, I don't know, like 45 degrees at best, and that was it. Like, these figures were stiff and perfect. And nowadays, I don't know what's going on with Zombie Sailors, if they're rushing to get these figures out or something, but like this figure, same thing, 360 degrees. Now, you had to put some pressure on it to spin it around. Like, it was actually sticking a little bit, which was good at first, but these should not be moving 360 degrees. The head is wobbly. Luckily, the head doesn't spin 360, but for the prices that you are paying for these figures, Oh, update. I did reach out to Zombie Sailors Toys about the last 2-pack that we received with all of the figures that were having broken heads and broken hands and everything for myself, and of course all the people that have reached out to me and said that they too were having issues. But in Zombie Sailor fashion, no response. I really do think Zombie Sailors is, I'm sorry to say if they ever watch my videos or not, but I mean, I give them a lot of free publicity, but at the same time, I also got to call them out when they do provide poor service. And, let's be honest, they're not paying my bills, so I got to give honest feedback when I can. And the honest feedback is their customer service is lacking sufficiently. So I reached out to them probably a week ago, and I still have not heard back from them. So I'm still waiting to see if they actually do give me any kind of response. Even just something as simple as, hey, we'll look into it type of deal. Just something. Even if it's just a brush off. But with the figures that we've been getting in lately, I was actually excited about these 2 figures until I started kind of messing around with the loose pieces. And now I'm kind of like, eh. With that being said, guys, there is one last thing. If you guys are interested in these particular figures and you do want to pick them up, if you go onto the Zombie Sailor website and they are no longer available, I did get 3 each of these 2 figures. So I do have an extra package of both characters. If you would like the figures, if they're not available on the Zombie Sailor website, reach out to me. Let me know that, hey, you're interested in them, and I will sell them to you. I'm not going to mark them up or anything. I will just ask that you cover, what I paid into it, and that's it. Cover that, cover shipping for me, and hey, they're yours. Just let me know. That's it for now, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to leave a comment, love to hear from you. I will respond as quickly as I can. And until the next video, take care, everybody.